I've never experienced this level of deflation mid-cycle before. Welcome to the OMFL Atlanta Falcons review. I'm your host, Mike Fleury, and I hate all Madden. Now, understand that I recognize that one, this Atlanta Falcons team is not my Jaguars team from the first two seasons. The talent level is far different. I probably have 2 seasons worth of work under me before I can bring this team up to that level. So, I also recognize that winning was not going to be something that I would do often, especially in this first season. I expected to go 4-13 to 6-11 in that range. So this is not about losing. And also, I recognize that my viewpoint is a little skewed based on the fact that 5 of my first 6 games, and I'm recording this having played the first 5 of those 6, 5 of my first 6 games will be against teams that have what I assume will be elite defenses by the end of the season. So that's Carolina, Detroit, Baltimore, Cleveland. I play Carolina twice and then the other 3. So I'm playing maybe the most difficult stretch of my schedule in terms of the defenses I'm playing. So understand all of that. On All Pro, even when I was losing, I was having fun. I started both seasons. I was 2-2 one year, 2-4 in the next one, and it was a struggle, but I was enjoying the gameplay. The losses were fun. I lost 13 games over 2 seasons, including playoffs, and I had 1 blowout loss. The rest were fun games, close. I enjoyed playing, and that is huge considering at the end of Madden 24, I almost didn't return to the league because I hated Madden 24 that much. Nate came to me, asked if I was interested in returning, that I had a spot open, and I almost said no. I decided to stick around because I do like parts of the community and I do like parts of the content. So I wanted to stick around for the stuff I liked, but the game was very much not part of that. Madden 25, I came in as skeptical as anyone, but I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. It felt solid. It felt better as an experience than I think I've had in Madden for a few years now. I was very optimistic about Season 3. There were a lot of other teams that had suffered the first 2 years but thought they were finally about to turn the corner, who I don't even know where they are this season, I haven't really paid attention to any team but my own. But I know the switch to All Madden has hit a lot of people really hard. A mid-cycle change is always it's always incredibly questionable because you're changing the way the game plays in the middle of a cycle. And I know the board, Nate said they voted unanimously, I think. So we're kind of subject to their whims, but a mid-cycle change is always one of those that can there's more likely to go wrong than it is to go right. Um, but I understand changing season 3, if it works and it plays great, then you have 2 more seasons after it to keep with the changes and improve the gameplay. But if it goes wrong, you've wasted a season in the middle of a cycle, and everybody kind of winds down in that last season anyways. So if this season's a write-off, next season's the last season where everybody's really locked in. So it's a risk, and I don't begrudge them for taking that risk, but it did really deflate me personally, as I've just really not enjoyed this experience on All Men so far. And I'm 2-3. So it's not like I'm 0-5 and I hate everything. I'm 2-3. I've won some games, but even the games I've won have been as bad an experience as Madden 24 was. And Madden 24 almost forced me into retirement. I don't care what Randy and Penguin say and how much they love All Madden and how much they loved Madden 24. It was a garbage game. It was trash. And to have that same feeling return in the middle of a cycle where I was actually enjoying the experience of playing again is incredibly deflating. Especially given that I've just taken up doing content. Like, what am I supposed to do with this shit? And at this point, like, when you feel so deflated that you don't want to play the game, that you are actively looking for reasons and excuses not to play or to play as late as possible, it makes it feel for the first time like a chore to do things. And that sounds so bad, and I don't say it lightly, because the last time I had anything like this experience, Nate pulled me out of the deuce back when it was still a Madden league. He pulled me out, took my team from me. I was 9-2 at the time, and he said I needed a break, and he got me booted from the league for what he said was my own good. And so saying this now on this channel, there's a chance he just walks in and says, "Okay, you're done. You don't have to be here." And that's not what I'm trying to do, but we need to be honest with how we're feeling about the current state of Madden and the current state of the league as it comes to gameplay. All the other stuff, the rules and the infightings and the bickerings and all the conversations and all the personal stuff, that's one thing that's kind of off to the side. We don't really worry about. I'm just talking strictly like what we're thinking about the game that we have to play. And Nate's the first one to admit the game is what the game is, and it's not always good, but we do the best we can. And that's part of the reason I started doing content to begin with, was because Madden 24, I shut off all of it. I stopped doing articles, I stopped doing everything, because I was not enjoying the game. So when I found that I was enjoying this one, I thought maybe I would put more into content and really kind of surround myself with the joy of playing and creating for the league. But I don't know, man. Like, this season has really, and we're only 5 weeks in, and it's really taken a toll. And I understand mechanically why people like it. Pass rush is better. Now, a lot of people are talking about sacks. I think on the Press Pass Live, Maniac was talking about his team didn't have sacks. That was Monday last week, so like 6 days ago or whatever. So he might have had played 2 games since then. I don't know what his stats look like now, but it's not just the sacks. The pressure is definitely up. I played a game, I think it was my Detroit game, where I started like 4 or 5, and then of the next 7 dropbacks, I was sacked once, hit 5 times. So while sacks might not necessarily be up, I think pressure definitely is, and maybe a little too much. Um, I think it's really maybe a little too difficult to go downfield, which is ironic considering we were told that the reason for the change was to try to open up more passing routes, and it feels like you only have time to really throw drags or the intermediate stuff, because if you wait for any other route to open up, you're getting hit. Um, but that might just be my experience, but I can only really talk about my experience. I know my offensive line maybe isn't the greatest, but it is very good, and it is especially good with the pass blocking element, but I haven't really felt that. It feels like I'm getting hit all the time. There's unfortunately not a stat for like QB pressure, QB hits, etc. I've only taken 6 sacks in 5 games, but I've been hit as I throw 5 or more times a game, and that really makes passing, especially downfield, really almost not viable. Add into the fact, of course, Penix is not that good to begin with, so I mean, his completion percentage is about 60%, and that's about in line with a lot of what we're seeing around the league. So, I mean, I guess in terms, if you're just looking at raw numbers, maybe the stats don't look that bad, but I mean, a lot of that is just I'm hitting drag routes. I'm hitting cheeky little, like, close routes behind the line of scrimmage, inflating a completion percentage, like the jet passes and swing passes and stuff. I don't, you know, I don't really feel like there's enough time to let routes develop downfield, and it's difficult to say with certainty because we're so early in the cycle still, or not the cycle, but the season. But passing has clearly been harder for teams than in any other season under this Madden. Now, this league is one that will have a lot of interceptions, but like last season we threw 1,036 touchdowns. This season we're on pace for about 985, give or take. I did the math on this like Monday or Tuesday. So we finished last week and started this week. So the numbers when we're talking about on pace will have changed a bit. Just keep that in mind. Last season we threw about 770 interceptions. This season we are on pace for 892. So we're throwing 50 fewer touchdowns and 120 more interceptions. It's with coverage being so much tighter, and it is unrealistically tight. We've had games because it's hard to explain because it's tight, but it's a little bit inconsistent in that like we'll watch defenders slow down so they can't make a play on the ball or just like not recognize the ball's there, and then we'll have them like in Nate's game against Tampa to end the game. He's in the middle of a pass breakup animation where he's tackling the receiver as part of the pass breakup, and the ball goes through his arms without him looking at it, with his back semi-turned to it, through his arms, lands in his hands for an interception. Like, that's impossible. I'm watching games where the receivers are glued to their defenders, and you throw the ball, and you're either going to get a completion that makes no sense, or the defender is going to phase through your receiver, or like go around them and speed burst back into position for an interception. It doesn't make any sense. You can talk about all you want about all pro, quote, not playing defense. This is, if this is defense, I don't want it. This is ridiculous. It's not, I don't think it's good for the league personally to have this many interceptions being thrown, but also like people kept saying passing wasn't viable on all pro. They didn't play defense on all pro, but also we can't pass the ball. Figure that one out. That was what Penguins was saying. You can't pass the ball, but also defense doesn't play defense. Which one is it? And I'm not trying to like take shots at Penguins, but this is some. I remember him saying that. And I remember other people saying it. Randy was saying it. Other people in the same chat were saying it. You can't say defense didn't play defense on all pro, but also we couldn't pass on all pro, but also we can't pass on all Madden. I mean, if you break it down, 19 teams in this league right now have either one more touchdown than interception or negative TD to INT ratios. So basically even or worse, 19 of the 32 teams. I don't know that this many interceptions is good. Maybe this is the way the league will always play, but everything, passing the ball feels so difficult at this point. To the point where I barely want to do it. And not as like I'm a run first team, but as there's really no point in trying this. Nobody is ever open kind of thing. And I don't know. Clearly, I'm the only one that thinks this because people seem to be really happy with it in the chat. But I am. I'm not enjoying the time with it. I mean, I'm 20 minutes into this video, and I haven't even talked about weeks 3 and 4 because there's just nothing to tell. I mean, I think I lost both games, and they weren't particularly close. They weren't fun. I mean, the Detroit game probably looks better if my offense can do anything. My defense was really good, but the games, I'm supposed to break down these games as part of this show, and I have no interest in doing so. The games were not enjoyable to play. I don't want to rewatch them. I don't want to go through them to look for ways I could have won. They're just boring, blowout, nothing games against teams that last year I would have competed against. And again, I know, different teams, whatever. Wasn't fun. I'm just not having fun with all Madden. And I was having so much fun before that it's just, as I said, it's deflating. But I'm probably the only one that feels that way. I know Randy's going to love it. He's 3-2 right now, and winning solves everything. I don't know, man. We're going to see what happens the rest of the cycle. Maybe an update will happen and it'll just feel a little bit better. But I think that's going to be it for me. I'm not even going to break down the stats of the first 4 weeks, last 2 games. I usually break down the numbers and post them in the stuff, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm just basically done. So I think I'm just going to end the episode. So if I do another episode, this will be probably next Friday. We're in week 5 now. I think I have to make a video after week 6, so Baltimore, I can break down the Cleveland game against. It was a 10-7 game. It was nothing. Break down Baltimore or whatever. I got some division matchups coming up. So, we'll see. If I do, it'll be next week, late next week. So, usually I say I'll try to do better next time, but I don't know if there's going to be a next time. So, thank you for listening to me complain about the state of Madden. And, y'all have a good one.